This last video is just showing you some of the favorite things that I like about Castle Learning and why I like it and why I use it. One of the first things that is really important, and I use Castle Learning more with my on-level students than I do with my upper-level students. Um, One of the great things, especially for students who have read test exams, because sometimes we're short staffed, or when we were doing virtual learning, this was very helpful. So that function of Castle Learning being able to read out a test for a student is very helpful. And this is just a quick example of
Question 1. You come to us and tell us that the great cities are in favor of the gold standard. We reply that the great cities rest upon our broad and fertile prairies.
So that's just showing you how Castle Learning does read out the questions, and it will read the sources, it will read the question, and it will read the answer. So that's really helpful for online learning, and it was very helpful for some of my special ed students that had read tests. Another thing that was really helpful about Castle Learning that I use for my students is this additional criteria when I'm selecting questions. So when I'm creating an assignment and I'm selecting the kinds of questions that I use, I have students who definitely have trouble with maps. So the ability to look for questions on a particular topic with only maps as the attribute, or to span over lots of different topics and only look at maps, that's extremely helpful also. Or to look over multiple topics and look at only charts and graphs and tables. That's super helpful. As well, cartoon analysis. You can choose multiple topics from US history and only have questions that are based on cartoons. So pinpointing students' weaknesses and being able to develop an assessment for a student, that's another thing that I really, really like about Castle Learning and this additional criteria and being able to choose attributes. The next thing that I really like about Castle Learning is in the grading feature. When you have assigned a student an assignment, you can determine whether you want the score to show as points or percentages. You can also show the score with retries, and you can give half credit to retries. You can also give full credit to retries, and then you just refresh to update it. So it gives you some flexibility about how you want to score an assignment. If it's a formative assessment or if it's a summative assessment, you can give students some extra credit on some of this, and you can have it added to your gradebook in a percentage or added to your gradebook in points, which I find very helpful. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention about Castle Learning that really is one of my favorite things is that I like being able to see the student center and see if I assign a particular assignment to myself, I can see it exactly as the student sees it. And I feel like there's a lot of online learning where my screen looks different from a student's screen. And I find that frustrating sometimes. So I really do like the idea that as I can go to the student center and look at it just like a student would look at it. So that is my favorite things about Castle Learning. And I hope all of this was helpful for you. Thanks.